Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Andrew Yang and disinterested catalysts. All right, so let's talk about this. All right, so in order to talk about disinterested catalysts, I need to talk about interested catalysts. So, and you know what, let me define exactly what I would like to see from Yang, and there's a little bit of setup for this. Thanks for your patience. Okay, so basically, I am super excited about Andrew Yang's presidency, and I just get more and more excited every single day. By the way, we are in countdown. Today is day 1, Wednesday. Tomorrow is day 0, September 12th. ABC Houston debate. Get hyped, right? And I am getting very hyped. And like one of the reasons why is, again, I'm just so excited about Andrew Yang's presidency because it opens up so many possibilities. So one of the things that is a really cool possibility that I absolutely love, right, is just this idea of bringing non-intuitive change, right? So with a lot of conservatives, they don't want any change, right? So like you could definitely argue that a Republican president could drop in, nothing could change for 4 years, and many Republicans would be super happy, right? Well, the other thing though is, even with Democrat presidents, Yang is really uniquely special. I'm really dialed in, like laser focused on this idea of double Ivy League acumen, right? He is double Ivy League. He graduated from Brown and Columbia. He is crazy smart, right? And that means that you're looking at a situation where Yang is in this zone where he can really look at changes that other people really don't have the language to really grasp, or they don't have the mathematical or pattern or trend data, the ability to grasp that data and to make these really unusual, non-intuitive changes, right? So what I'm about to talk about is a very non-intuitive change. And this is a change that I would like to see, that I'm very much hoping Andrew Yang will pick up in H2 2021. So that's half 2 of the year of 2021. So this should not get in the way of any of his 100-day plans. 100-day plans are super important, and it's really critical that 100-day plans are really, what's the best term for it? 100-day plans are critical, and only the most important things should be done in that first 100 days. So this is an H2 2021 plan, and I'm hoping he would implement this in H2 2021. So what is it, right? Well, I would want Andrew Yang to increase public goodwill for disinterested catalysts. All right, now let me define what an interested catalyst is. All right, and these disinterested catalysts would be doing work in fields for disease cures. They would be involved in disease cure activism, disease cure research, disease cure lobbying, disease cure activities, okay? All right, right now, America has a lot of goodwill for interested catalysts who are interested in specific disease cures, okay? So going forward, I'm going to talk about XYZ disease. That is not a specific disease. That is basically me saying any disease, right? So, and that's the point, is what I'm about to say is not specific to one disease. It's specific to many diseases where these things are happening right now, where there is lobbying that's being done, where there is activism that's being done, where there's research being done, right? All those type of activities, right? So America has a ton of goodwills for interested catalysts. Now, what's an interested catalyst? Well, first of all, a catalyst is a person who effectively brings change, right? And changes the environment, right? So a catalyst brings change. Well, an interested catalyst, specifically in the area of research, specifically in the area of disease cures, right? This is for diseases that need a cure, that do not currently have a cure. Interested catalysts are incredibly common, and the media absolutely loves to interview them, do blogs about them, do podcasts about them, right? And what are interested catalysts? So basically, an interest catalyst is a person who's like, oh, my sibling died when we were young, and I went into XYZ disease research. Or somebody could say, oh, my parent was lost to XYZ, disease when I was young, and then I became a disease cure lobbyist, right? Or that you could say, or they would say, oh, I'm a parent and my child was lost to XYZ cure, and so now I'm a disease cure activist, right? So essentially, interested catalysts are, this event happened in their lives, it was incredibly personal to them, and now they're really invested in this, right? And the press loves this, and the public loves this. They love interested catalysts, right? Well, here's the thing. I do not like interested catalysts as much as I like disinterested catalysts, right? Now here's, and boy, I'll tell you, you guys are incredibly patient with me, and I really appreciate it, because I have a lot of ideas that I don't hear anyone else talking about, right? Also, just to be clear, one of the reasons why you hear me say so many things that no one else is saying is because I don't, I don't want to bring you things that you can hear from 50 other YouTube channels. So, when those ideas occur in my head too, I agree with tons of people. I agree with virtually every single thing Nerds for Yang says, right? But I don't bring it to you because he's there and a million other, and there are other YouTube saying it. So I'm trying to bring you stuff that's unique. So when you hear me saying things that nobody else is saying, one of the reasons why is I'm literally filtering out the things that is already being echoed all over YouTube, right? So, all right, so let's get into this, right? I really, really, really like disinterested catalysts. I like people who are like, I went into disease cure activism. I went into disease cure research. I went into disease cure lobbying because I think that this disease needs a cure, right? They did not have, they didn't lose a sibling, they didn't lose a parent, they didn't lose a child, right? They're just genuinely interested. They're disinterested from a personal perspective, and they want to cure the disease, right? Now, one of the reasons why I think this is why I'm bringing this to you here is Andrew Yang's slogan is humanity first. So I love that idea of a person who is going to be a catalyst, going to bring change, right? But not because they were personally affected, but because the disease needs to be cured, right? Or even they care about humanity as a whole, not just their own little corner of it, right? Or they're not driven by how it affected them personally. Now, why would I say this, right? Well, one, there are some distinct problems that come with interested catalysts, right? One of them is priority, right? So basically, let's say that somebody's like, hey, I am super, passionate that XYZ disease gets cured, right? And let's say they're incredibly effective at being an activist or being a researcher or being a lobbyist, right? If that's the case, what if the disease that they chose because they were personally affected affects an incredibly small amount of people, right? But then they start to really gain momentum for this disease that has a really small population of people who are affected by it, right? And what if their influence is oversized for the disease itself, right? This can be a real problem because you can start to have resources, because you have a very charismatic, shiny person who is now championing this one XYZ disease to be cured. That disease may actually get a ton of resources and get a cure, and then maybe 10,000 people are cured, but the resources that were shifted over, what if that could have cured a different disease that affected 10 million people 5 years earlier, right? And see, when you have an interested catalyst, they're not going to care. They're not even going to stop to think about that, right? Because they're personally passionate about the specific issue, right? And that's another one is timing, right? So if you have people who are interested catalysts, right, they can get timing that is really not perfect, right? So technology changes at a rapid pace. right? So what if you have, like, think about molecular biology, right? That deals with DNA, RNA, proteins, right? And there are specific diseases that are connected to that, right? Now, let's say that the person who is an interested catalyst is dealing with a disease that has nothing to do with molecular biology, right? But suddenly there's a change in molecular biology. There's a major advancement, right? And at this point, this major change in molecular biology could bring cures, right? Very, very early, like could bring cures maybe decades earlier for a grouping of XYZ diseases, right? Again, the interested catalyst, if molecular biology won't cure the disease they care about, they're not going to address it, right? And they may actually take energy and momentum and zeal away from a grouping of diseases that could be solved much sooner or cured much sooner because there were advances in technology right at that moment, right? So these interested catalysts, and there's dozens or hundreds of them, right? And they're driving traffic, they're driving money, they're driving law changes to their XYZ disease to get a cure, simply because it's attached to someone who was close to them, from a familial proximity, right? And I'm like, that's not a great idea when it comes to science and driving cure through science. The other issue also comes from timing, which is short-term, long-term, right? So you can actually have someone who has, some familial bond, who's suffering with the disease right now, right? And it is highly likely that they may lobby or research or do activism in a way that would elevate short-term gains over long-term gains, which may actually cure portions of the disease for more people, simply again because of that familial bond, right? So to me, I really feel very strongly about this, that disinterested catalysts come with a lot of benefits, right? They come with objectivity. They come with correct prioritization because they're not personally invested, right? And they can deal with timing much better. They have analytical thinking that can be attached to timing rather than emotional thinking, right? So I really, and here's the thing, right? What I just said, I totally get it. It is completely non-intuitive, right? Because intuitively people are like, oh, look at that poor person. They personally suffered, and now they're an interested catalyst, right? And the reality is there are no media out there. Like there's a couple, right? But at the macro level, the media is not interested in disinterested catalysts, right? You don't really hear stories about disinterested catalysts. They're frequently passed over for podcasts and blogs and video pieces because their story is less compelling on screen, right? But the reality is, I think they're probably far more effective and far more helpful to our society and our culture as a whole from the numbers perspective, right? And that's why I'm so excited, because when it comes to numbers, you're dealing with Andrew Yang, and Andrew Yang can absolutely, realistically, he can hear these type of arguments, these type of approaches, these types of paths. He has the language for it. He has the math for it. He has the non-intuitive brain that can think about two opposing ideas at the same time, right? And honestly, I'm just super excited about having a super smart president, right? Because one, I don't think Donald Trump is. I actually think Donald Trump is quite intelligent, but he ain't next level intelligent like Yang. Not even close, right? They're not in the same league, right? Like this is LeBron James. The difference between LeBron James and me at basketball, and I could throw some hoops, right? But I ain't LeBron James good, right? Like so, right? So that's the issue, right? And I'm just really excited that we could have a president that can really think that can start to at least listen to these type of non-intuitive solutions, these type of non-intuitive paths, right? It's exciting. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. What do you think? Do you think that there is value in disinterested catalysts? Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.